Good evening. Hey, ladies. So we are going to meet with Rena
Oh
about
my gosh, she's bald.
grief recovery. She's going to give us a lot of information, and then we'll be able to ask questions after. So if you can kindly mute your mics while she's talking, and then when she opens up the floor, then we will unmute and chit chat. Fair enough? All right, Rena, it's all yours.
Okay. Hi, ladies. I am so happy to see all of your beautiful faces. Some of you I know, some of you I look forward to getting to know. But Chris asked me if I would come and talk about grief recovery, and I said absolutely, because this is really what I feel like is part of my purpose. I absolutely love doing this and helping teaching it to other people. Uh, so the thing about grief recovery, it's just like usually when I mention it, people are just kind of like, okay, that sounds good, but what is it? What does it mean? Um, the thing about grief is most people just associate grief with death. And that is something to do with it, but that's not the whole of it. So, grief is about loss. And and the thing people don't realize about grief is it's normal and natural. It's the normal and natural reaction to the end of a familiar pattern of behavior, which, we all go through. Unresolved grief is about the things that we wish had been different, better, or more, and unmet hopes, dreams, and expectations. Anybody got any of those? So, the first time I heard about grief recovery, it was when I had been hearing about it for a long time. So it was just like, okay, that sounds good. And then I signed up after my grandmother died. And when my grandmother died, it completely devastated me. She was my best friend, she was my grandma, and I was done. And then I realized it was like, it took some time, but I started to feel better. But every year at the end of September, I felt like I was reliving it again. And I was just like, like this is terrible. But so signed up in 2012 when it initially happened. Didn't do it because I was like, the thought of dealing with it was too much. Then in 2016, a friend of mine, I was talking to him about, I was just like, their life is just so, I can't do it. So he said, have you ever done grief recovery? And I said, I signed up a few years ago, but I don't think I need that. Nobody died. And he was like, it's because it's not about death, it's about loss. And he said, I really think that you could benefit from it. And he's someone I trust, and he's someone who I think is a pretty smart guy. So I was like, all right, what could it hurt? So I signed up for it. And then uh I did it, and it completely changed my life. The way grief recovery works is the first half of grief recovery is unlearning everything you've been taught about grief. Because no one is born with the instinct of knowing how to grieve. So then it's just like, but we all got to do it. I saw a meme that said that, grief is a roller coaster no one wants to ride, but everyone has to. So, your whole life, you're taught how to acquire things, but you're never taught how to lose anything. So, when it happens, because the adults around you, because it starts as a child, the adults around you are just like, I know how to do this. It's just like, just catch up. You just get thrown into a swimming pool without knowing how to swim. So then you're told all this stuff, like, the by the time a child is 15, they've heard "don't feel bad" about 1,500 times, because it's like something bad will happen. Like maybe a little girl, since we're all women, I'll say a little girl, will go home to her mom and say, I don't have any friends. No one likes me anymore. And the mom might say, well, don't feel bad. The correct response is, why not? Because something bad happened. So from that point, it's like we're taught how to repress emotions. So there are, like I said, grief is about loss. And there are different losses. It's like sometimes it's death, sometimes it's divorce, sometimes it's moving, sometimes it's just a friendship ending. And I've had a lot of that in the last couple of years. Just with the pandemic, it's just like, ugh, so much loss. So, um, but because like, and the effect that I saw after I did grief recovery, the first the first that half is unlearning everything that has been taught about grief and how to handle it. So the next half is about working on a relationship. And I thought I would work on my relationship with my grandmother, but that's not what I did at all. The first relationship that I worked on was my mom, because I realized, I was like, I had a lot of unresolved grief around her. So I was just like, and my mother is very much alive. And I love my mom very much, but there were just some things growing up that just didn't align with me. So I did grief recovery, and I was just like, okay, I did it. I can say I did it. I know I followed the instructions to a T. And I was just like, okay, I'm not sure what it did, but I did it. I'm proud of myself. It wasn't easy, but I got it done. And I finished right before I went home for Christmas. And I went home for Christmas, and my mom was still my mom. She didn't change at all. It was just like she had a moment where she said something that was just out of the way and not nice. And I said, I just, she did it. And I was just kind of like, shrug. Like, I don't care. It's just like I have had the opportunity to say everything that I need to say, apologize for everything that I did that was, that wasn't right. And I was like, okay, this is great. Like, I like the way that we're relating to each other now. And then so that was Christmas 2016. Then uh July of 2017, she had a knee replacement, and she asked me if I wanted to come home. And I was like, I don't really want to. I was just like, you know, I just knew. I was like, she's gonna be in pain, she's gonna be mean, it's just gonna be rough. But I thought about it and I talked to my uncle and I was just like, hey, here's this thing. And he was just like, well, what are you thinking? And I was just like, my parents aren't going to be around forever. I want to see them as much as I can, considering I live 3,000 miles away. And so for that reason, I kind of do want to go home. And he was like, you're right. And he was just like, think about it this way, lower your expectations. Because he was just like, that this is a possibility. If you go home and she's mean, you already knew it was a possibility and you get to go home. If she's nice, then you all have a great time and then it's great. And she was incredibly nice. So the thing about it is just like, I know I've changed more than she's changed. So that's my why for why I do it. And I love all the things that I learned about grief. Because after I did it, my thought was, I want to tell it to the world. I want to share this with everybody. So I was like, I got to figure out a way to do it. I raised money to become trained so I could teach it, so I could help people and to learn, because this is an evidence-based program. The Grief Recovery Institute is for over 40 years old, and they've been helping grievers for 40 years to take the steps in healing. So I am just very proud that I get to do this work. I get to teach other people how to do this work and take practical steps to heal their hearts. The initial program that we would be doing is the program outlined in the Grief Recovery Handbook. And there are several other programs, but the other programs that I teach are one called Helping Children with Loss, because our kids, it's like I don't have any kids, but you know, no parent wants to see their child in pain. But because we don't know how to grieve, we don't know how to teach our children how to grieve. Because, a lot of times it's like we don't know what to say and no one else knows what to say either. But this program helps you to take the steps to show you how to get there and the things that you'll learn along the way and how to be an active listener. So that's why I just really, really, really love this work. And I'm going to open it up to questions now. If anybody has any questions.
Raina?
Yes.
Raina? Okay. First of all, so good to see you. And your smile is so beautiful. It radiates, just radiates. And yeah, you're just such a comfort. I feel really comfortable discussing this topic with you. And so I'm curious to know, like, what is the structure of the program? Like, what would be, like, how does a session play out? Is it, you mentioned we're going through the workbook together. Like, what does it look like? Are we just answering questions? Is there a portion where you share and then we go through questions, or like just what is the structure of the sessions? And
Okay, so great question. So the way that it'll work, it'll be an 8-week program. So the first 4 weeks is unlearning everything that has been taught about grief.
Okay.
And every week there'll be reading and there'll be homework. So
Uh-huh.
the first 4 weeks are very reading intensive. There's a lot of reading.
Okay.
The last 4 weeks are very writing intensive. So that's when a relationship will start to be worked on. And that's when, like, I love that part because it's like, that's when we get to the good stuff. That's when you can kind of see yourself get over a hump.
Oh, okay, okay. Got it, okay.
Did I answer
Yeah.
your question?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, yeah. Now I understand what it looks like. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
Hey Rita, how are you? Good to see you.
Senia,
Yeah, I
it
don't know
is
if you
so
can think.
nice to hear your voice.
I am so happy to hear that. You made my day. And I agree with Tatiana about your smile. So quick thing, because I'm hearing like the reading part. So I'm kind of trying to figure out like how many hours a week do you think we're investing in that?
It would take me, well, because here's the thing. It's like you read the assigned reading and then you reread it to make sure you didn't miss anything. It would, and for, I've had clients who it's just like, well, I don't get this. It's like, did you read it twice? And they'll tell me no. And it's like, perhaps that's why. But it took me an hour, about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But when here's the thing, when I signed up, I was so desperate. I was like, I am willing to do just about anything to feel better. So I was just like, whatever I am told to do, I am going to do. Because I was just like, they say this thing is evidence based. And I was just like, I don't want to, I'm not negative at all, but I'm like, I could be the first one to prove them wrong. But I wasn't. And I can see why it's evidence based. And my favorite feedback that I get from clients is from people who work on their parents who are still here, and they can see that there's been a great change in the relationship. And even people who I've worked with, clients who have gone through terrible divorces. And one lady, it was just like, she did it and she was just like, she was like, yeah, love is whatever. She was like, I feel better about my ex, but, just moving on. She has a boyfriend now and they're absolutely adorable and very happy. I had another client who did her ex-husband, and she's been married for over a year to her soulmate, and that makes me very happy. And just there are people who have done siblings and adult children, and which that's hard, but it's like it's so worth it. Did I answer your question, Jasenia?
I'm sorry. Yes, yes. And as you're saying that, like something else hit me because like I know I'm dealing with some type of grief, but do you find that some people come and not knowing where like it stems from?
Yeah,
Could that be
and
possible?
oh, all the time, because what I always tell people is just like, all right, let's work through learning through what grief isn't first. And then we'll work on a relationship. So it's like you can learn, because I thought I was doing this to work on my grandma, but the unresolved, I didn't have nearly as much unresolved grief with my grandma as I did with my mom. So I was like, okay, that's where I need to start. So a lot of times there are people, like I've had people who after divorces, they thought they signed up to work on their relationship with their ex-husband, but they realized, they were like, yeah, it's just like, this didn't start with my ex-husband. This started with my dad. So I want to work on my dad first. So it's okay if you don't know which relationship you want to work on first. It's like that part, like the first half is for realizing who you want to work on.
Awesome. Thank you, Rena.
My pleasure. Anyone else?
Okay. So you said the first half is focused on kind of discovery and discovery to to figure out who we may want to work on. But what if it's because like I feel like my grief is everything is so interconnected, and one thing, they're just all linked for me. So what if it's not, or like, are you pretty sure that it's going to lead to one person? Or because for me, I feel like it's like a domino, like there was this event that happened with this individual, and then like it's linked. So I don't know if it's just like one thing, like, or will I discover that it is just the one event or one primary person? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that it's just one. I feel like maybe I have too many things, like, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. That is an excellent question. So, first of all, you do not have too many. Because, like I said, the first relationship that I worked on was my mom. But my last day of class, my instructor, she told me, she was just like, now you write down everybody else who you need to work on. So it's just like, and I have worked on all of the people who raised me, but I still got a few people to work on.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, there are people that I have to work on that I met after I did this, because what this is teaching you, it's teaching how to build a toolkit. And once you do it once, you can repeat and do it again for everyone else.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Marina, why don't you discuss the fee schedule?
Okay, so the cost is $500, and I take payments up front. If that is a challenge, give me a call and we'll talk about it. Because here's the fact of the matter. I don't want money to get in the way of anybody getting help and taking the steps towards healing. So, yeah, up front, let me know if something else needs to be worked out.
And that's to work with you in a group setting, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
I also do privates too.
And is the $500 for the 8 weeks, or is that
Yep.
just for, okay.
For the 8 weeks. Mhm. And you also, that $500 covers your book. You can, I won't always be able to pick up. I'm great with text, but it's just like anytime there are questions or anytime that you need help, or I've had clients call, it's just like, I'm having a moment. Okay, you know, I'm with you in your I had a client that I worked with 3 years ago. Her husband died unexpectedly, and it was just all bad. And she was going to the place where she got the phone call that he had died. And she was like, I'm going back here. And she's just like, so much is coming. She emailed me and I called her right away. I was just like, hey, what's going on? And she was just like, well, I'm being hit with this. I'm being hit with this. And I'm like, all right. It's just like, I'm here with you in it, even though we're not working together anymore. So it's like you get access to me, and anything that I can't answer, like I feel like I'd be pretty good, but I am humble enough to know that I don't know everything. Anything I can't answer, I'll reach out to the Institute, which they are excellent at getting back to me and giving me answers to questions. Any more questions?
Okay, so if anyone chooses that this is something that they want to do, I'm going to send a recap email with this video so you can rewatch it, answer any, like rehear some things that she said. We will need 6 people minimum to be able to do this group, and 8 people maximum. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
8 people maximum. And so that's also a thing. So that's just something to be aware of. So if we don't get the numbers that we need in order to run it this cycle, we will find another time to run it. But we're really hoping that we'll be able to do it this time around, you know. And I will attach Raina's contact information in the email so that we can have open and honest dialogue with each other. Is that cool?
And if you know anybody who is just like, I think this person could benefit from this, you can share this since this is being recorded. They can watch this and they can schedule a call with me on my website, renagillum.com, and they can schedule something with me and I can talk to them too. So. Mm-hmm.
All right, ladies, we're gonna call it quits. Thanks so much for showing up and participating, asking questions, and even if you're behind the scenes writing notes, we're really grateful for that. We will be in touch soon. Take care.
Bye. I hope to see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.